Dick Lamb here from the Morning Wave. That's on the radio, you know.
Are you ready for TV? You know, people are going to see you.
Yeah, and they're going to, I see you again, and you're taller and you're prettier. How come I'm older and shorter? How come that is? Happy to be here on television on the Hampton Road Show today.
If it's in Hampton Roads, it's on the Hampton Roads Show.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Hampton Roads Show. We are celebrating the best of Eastern Shore cuisine in the kitchen today with the folks from Chatham Vineyards on Church Creek. Hey, they're showing off their best wines along with another Shore original, oysters.
Yeah, and then Cheryl Tan has a story with heart. She's taking a close look at how you and your loved ones can be heart healthy. That's coming up on this week's What's Your Problem?
And we're going back in time to a historic time in Newport News filled with important lessons for the future. We'll visit the Newsom House today in our postcard from Hampton Roads. And
good morning, everybody.
And ta-da!
Look who it is, everybody.
Where?
The legendary, the one and only Dick Lamb as Morning Radio invades the Hampton Road Show. Dick.
That is scary when you say legendary. You know, if somebody says you're a legend, that means that you're dead. That you're gone.
What is legendary?
Yes, that's right. But listen, you've done pretty well. I remember the weekend sports stuff, and now here you are every morning with a couple of good-looking chicks on television. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the babes. I'm surrounded by the babes of the Hampton Road Show. I'm the luckiest man in town. But you know, we've all learned so much from you. You've been at it for so long. You started WAVY TV.
No, I was here. Yes.
In a way.
I did go back into WAVY TV days a little bit. Like, here's Disco 10. I don't know if anybody ever remembers that.
I had no idea.
Those were the days
like
when
the
American
Bandstand.
Bandstand was such a biggie, you know, with Dick Clark.
Right.
And so there were bandstand shows everywhere. And Gene Loving and I did this show, I believe it's on Monday nights, on this here television station for about 3 years. As a matter of fact, that's how I started here at WAVY.
But you know what? You said Disco 10. That is even before disco.
No, it's 70s. It was in
That looks like
1970.
I mean, that doesn't look like disco to me. I mean,
Yeah, well, it was a little bit of everything. We had some great stars come on that thing.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond was on the
Wow.
program at one time.
Like in
so-
this building or the
well,
old
Neil,
station?
he
The old
did a
building.
thing outside. We did a remote. We did it
Yeah.
like around MacArthur Memorial or something like that. But it was great, great fun. And then I did all sorts of things here. I did some news, some weather, some traffic.
A little bit
It
of
was-
everything.
It was like going to Television 101 when I worked here. So,
it's now 102.
yeah.
Or it's just a step higher. But you did sports too.
I did sports as well, as a matter of fact.
Done it all.
And as I say, because there was one point where I did a morning show here called Compass. And then later on I would do part of the newscast. And then the later newscast, I would do the weather on one, and then I'd do the sports on another. Now, it doesn't work that way these days, does
I
it?
think we're coming back to that.
Oh, really?
I think we're gonna, Chris and I are going to go clean the bathrooms later.
Where we're all working
We're
more
getting
for
back
less
that way.
money. I know the picture. That's the way it is. No kidding.
And now you're hosting the Hampton Road Show with us.
Well, and happy to be here. This
Yeah.
is nice. I appreciate the invitation. This is good stuff.
Well, I think folks will appreciate being able to hang out and spend a little time with you by watching our show, not just in the morning. You have such a good crew over there with Jennifer and Paul. You guys have been together for a long, long time.
Jennifer Roberts, Paul McCoy, and yours truly, along with Kimmy Stevens doing the traffic, and Jim Long does the news. We've got a cast of thousands.
Jen
over
rocked
there.
it when she co-hosted the Hampton Road Show, too.
Yeah.
Did she have any pointers for you today?
I asked her a couple of things about it, and she said, no, I'm just going to let you deal with it on your own, you know? So, no help at all. I appreciate that.
You're doing great. We're going to shuck some oysters in a little bit, too, so that should be fun. That'll be a first for both of us.
That probably doesn't happen in the radio studio in the morning.
No,
The chef doesn't
no.
wheel the
He's
big
like,
cart in for you
"No."
guys.
Can't remember when we last shucked an oyster.
Yeah.
Well, you can listen to Dick Lamb on the Morning Wave weekdays on the Wave 92.9 FM and online at 929thewave.com.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
So you've already told us you've done a ton of jobs, within the business, but what were you doing before you got into radio, or did you go pretty much right from your big wheel into right in front of a microphone?
You know what? I had one little picture here. See this little thing? I don't know. This is pretty small, Craig, so I don't know if you can really get to it. but it says WAYE. I'm like 17 years old in this picture, and it's the first station that I ever worked for in Baltimore, in my hometown. And that's really, so, you know, only before that I had a job bagging groceries at Eddie's Supermarket in Dundalk, which is a suburb of Baltimore. But no, I've done this all my life. I know how to do absolutely nothing else. I have no talent whatsoever.
No, that's not true.
All I can do is talk, and that's it.
You've been so successful at everything you've done. You've done the TV and the radio. What's the biggest difference between the two, Dick?
Wow, that's a good question, Chris. You know, radio's easier, I think.
Really?
Radio's just easier. And there's no coming in and putting on makeup and getting this prepared and so on. We do, I know it doesn't sound like it a lot, but we do prepare for each show.
I'm sure you
do a little prep work and say, okay, here's what we're going to talk about today and that sort of thing. But I think radio is just a little easier, and you know, the camera goes away and you can, you know, do whatever you want to do.
Just you and the mic.
Within certain legal limits.
Yeah. It's kind of like the show. We like to think the show has less of the boundaries of like a newscast, you know. So we have a little more freedom over here.
You guys are casual. I saw it when I came in here in the morning. It's a
little casual.
Pretty interesting stuff.
He saw me. I had rollers in my hair. He was like, "Whoa, really? Come in with rollers."
Still looks good.
Started young.
Thank you. Yeah.
I got started young.
You got started young in the business too. Did you have,
well,
like,
straight out of college, but I
Right.
had a whole bunch of other jobs while I was trying to make it in this. I mean, I was a pizza chef at Chicho's, a bouncer, lifeguard. I was a full-time substitute teacher at Princess Anne High School in PE. I mean, the bouncing stories alone, I could tell you some things, man. I could tell you some things about it. I bounced at a whole bunch of different places.
Did you have to wear the standard bouncer outfit, black shirt, black pants?
Pretty much so, but I worked at a place called the WAVY, and it was a hot bar down at the beach, and we had some big guys. One big giant guy named Tiny.
right?
And that guy, I mean, there was no talking with Tiny. I would go up to people and say, listen, you have an option here. You can walk out with me, or I can introduce you to Tiny.
Whoa.
I mean, that was... you didn't want to be introduced to Tiny.
Yeah, door number one.
I remember that night you threw me out, Chris. I have forgotten
I
that.
talked you out, Dick. I talked you out.
I don't know.
How about
I mean,
you? You were a Navy person.
I was in the Navy, and that's where I got started in the business too. At 20 years old, working for Armed Forces Radio and Television. So before that, in high school, you know, did the babysitting newspaper, worked in a restaurant, waitressing. You know, I used to work at Friendly's in Massachusetts in the blue polyester dress days. That was awful, but you know, pretty much kind of got still in the same business that I got into when, you know, I was asked to leave college. I didn't leave college. I got the boot and went to boot camp, and it all turned out just fine, but not a whole lot. So, I mean, we're asking people to kind of chime in on what were you doing before the job you're doing now, or the job that you really thought was the fit, you know, or the career you're after. What were you doing, you know, before? And you were studying too, right?
Yeah, I did. I was a hostess. I worked in retail. I was a paper girl. And then I worked in sales, media sales, where I learned about ratings and all that.
Yeah.
3 years before I got my first foot in the door at a TV station. Small market, St. Joe, Missouri, but this is my now second TV job.
Yeah.
Fourth year in the business.
So you're not a local person?
Not local.
Out of
Alaska.
Missouri.
Right. Well, I came from Missouri. My folks, I've lived in Alaska 14 years, so that's where I call home.
Oh,
Yeah.
So my parents, that's where they're at, in Anchorage.
It's always interesting. You never know. Like, I'm thinking of Melanie Woodrow, who's on our news staff. She was in banking, you know, and left to pursue journalism.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, sometimes people kind of make a real departure. So we wonder if you ever kind of followed your passion or had to stick out
That's
some
right.
yucky jobs before you got there.
And today's second hot topic, since we are doing morning radio all week long, and we're talking to Dick Lamb, we want to talk about music, and if there is one band that you could listen to, or an artist, 24 hours, if you could be stuck to one person or one group, who would it be, Dick?
Well, mine would probably be Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
I like
That's a
the
good
Jimmy
choice.
Buffett stuff.
Yeah.
Or, you know, sometimes there's no reason
Pick
that I'm
one,
on the
right.
station that I'm on, because my favorite is Toby Keith. Now, our sister
little country.
station, Eagle, I probably should be next door.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah.
Toby Keith or Jimmy Buffett would be mine. How about you?
You know, it would have to be an artist that has a huge array of music. I think Beatles.
Beatles.
I'd go Beatles. I could listen to them all day long.
I'm still thinking. I'm going to pass to Ariana. This is really hard.
I like all types of music, but I am an R&B, smooth R&B girl. If I had to listen
Pick
to one
one.
artist for 24 hours straight, it would be hands down Anita Baker.
Really?
Anita Baker.
Wow.
Her voice is just sultry. That's what I'm going with.
Are you getting a little comfortable there with Dick?
Yeah,
Dick, take advantage of it, man.
I've been told that Jeremy Wheeler's going to magically appear. So
I'm liking this so far.
I know.
Yeah.
I've done this every day. I've moved a little closer.
Hey,
Carrie and two
remember the days
guys.
back in the old date days? Go ahead, give it a shot.
Or the yawn.
The yawn.
The yawn.
When
Careful
we
with
came,
Carrie, though.
That still works.
when we came in to do the promo, remember that?
Yes.
Who was producing it kept saying, "No, you two get away from each other a little bit. Separate a little
It's a
bit."
natural
Yeah.
magnetism. What can I say? You know, it's Dick Lamb.
But you play, what, 60s, 70s, and 80s?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't do an art. I can't, but I could do a decade. I would
A
be in the
decade.
70s.
A
Oh yeah,
decade.
like just even thinking about it, I went over to the computer to give "Take Your Time" by the SOS Band a listen before the show. Like I loved. I could.
That
It would
drive
be
you insane, though, if you just listen to that song over and over, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Just listen to her decade.
but it probably would be something from the 70s or I don't know.
Jimmy Buffett was
We don't
the
have time to
70s.
wait.
Jimmy
The
Buffett was
Beatles were
the
the 70s.
We've got lots of comments,
The
too.
Beatles were almost through, I guess, in the
Yeah,
70s, right?
just
Because
about.
they came in the early 60s,
early
I
70s.
believe.
Yeah,
And
early 70s
yeah.
and finished
I like
up.
the Dave Matthews Band a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Probably enough to listen to them 24 hours.
How about you two?
Day.
Maybe? Let's see what Jeremy Wheeler likes to listen to.
Yes,
If
come
he
on
had-
over so it
Yeah.
doesn't
We
look
made
like
some room for you,
I'm putting the
Jeremy.
moves
And
on.
look who it is on our Facebook page.
Very
It's Carrie and Dick Lamb. Of course, send us your comments on Facebook, also on Twitter at @HR_show. So, the big question, Jay Wheeler.
Yeah.
If you had to listen to an artist
Yep.
24 hours straight,
Yep.
who would it be?
YouTube.
You two?
Easy.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
thinking about it.
because the good thing about U2 is, you know, they've got a broad spectrum there. They got some love songs, some slow, calming songs, and then they got some rock songs in there. Real high quality stuff. You can listen to earlier stuff, but it's a little bit more folksy maybe, and then some of their newer stuff's a little bit more retro / little tech pop stuff like that. So you get the broad spectrum.
So, Jeremy, you still haven't found what you're looking for.
That's right. Not yet.
That's
I'm
why
still
he's here,
looking.
people.
Yeah, they got some good ones. It's a good
Listen
one.
to Journey.
Journey. See, there you go. Yeah.
yeah.
You know what?
Great
I
group.
could go
Carrie,
Neil Young.
I got
Go
her
Neil
pegged.
Young all day.
She would
Yeah.
listen to
Heart
the
of
Rocky
Gold.
IV soundtrack her whole life, and
Yes,
she
but
would be
that's not
happy
one
as a clam.
artist.
Well, that's
That's
still.
the dilemma.
Decade.
True.
We could
Jimmy
be here all day.
Jameson. I'd have to say Jimmy Jameson so I could hear Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, there you go.
And some other good hits, too. All right.
All right, Dick. Glad to have you here. Good to meet you.
I'm always happy to be anywhere these days. You know what I mean?
That's good. We had some fine weather for you today. We got sunshine in the forecast, temperatures in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, chance for showers, still warm out there. A little cooler on Friday, not bad though, mostly sunny. Another chance of rain coming in for Sunday, and we're kind of watching that. Models going back and forth saying, hey, there's maybe a little bit of snow at the end of it, but for right now, let's just say there is a chance for rain late in the day. Okay, so let's pull out the pop quiz for the day, and there it is, the 4 clues. The first clue is this: rifle viewer, size of a situation, circus home, a brief circus home, and mouthwash brand. So put those
Spelling it out today.
yeah, put those together, and you'll come up with the answer.
All right, the big winner. We're not going to tell you. I'm going to take Mr. Dick Lamb with me to the kitchen.
Oh, really?
You're
Yes.
being banished to the kitchen.
Yes,
now,
you have
Dick.
to come with me.
It's one of
You
my
guys
best
know what
places.
You can win.
All right, today's winner will receive a 4-pack of advanced screening passes to see The Lorax, along with a $25 gift certificate to IHOP. Make it an IHOP day, or go for the oysters. Take your pick.
All right, we're in the kitchen celebrating local oysters today and the Virginia wines that are perfect for pairing from Chatham Vineyards on the Eastern Shore. First, we have Charles Stain, chef from Island House Restaurant in Wachapreague, and we're going to bring in John and Tom in just a little bit. But what are you going to make for us today?
Good morning. It's nice to be back in the
Yes.
Hampton Roads kitchen.
Thanks for being here.
I'm starting a cream that I'm thinking of actually making a bechamel for Oysters Rockefeller. We're going to get to that in
Your
the
version
next
of the
segment.
Oysters Rockefeller,
So if you
okay.
could stir that, I'll start mixing this
Okay,
up.
well,
Got to
this-
keep that moving.
Okay, so we're going to do this, and you're going to make a cucumber
I'm gonna-
salad.
yep.
And all this is for your Oysters Rockefeller.
That's for the Oysters Rockefeller. We're also going to be making Oysters Paramore today. So 2 hot oyster dishes and 1 accoutrement to some cold oysters that Tom's going to be shucking
All right,
over there.
we're going to get started on that. We're going to shuck oysters.
Oh, well,
Are
you'll
you ready?
forgive me if I'm brought to tears because I'm standing over top of a bucket of onions right here.
All right, we're going to be back in just a second. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
All right, still ahead on the Hampton Roadshow, Habitat for Humanity and Bayport Credit Union teaming up to celebrate Fat Tuesday. We'll tell you how your contribution can help build homes for needy families.
This week you may be opening your heart to someone you love. How about taking proper care of it? I'm Cheryl Tan. I'll talk about ways to prevent the #1 killer of men and women.
All right, welcome back to the Hampton Road Show. I'm here with Tom Gallivan from Shooting Point Oyster Company. You are an oyster farmer, and you're going to show Dick and I how to shuck an oyster, correct?
I am. These oysters that we have here are cage-cultured oysters. They're grown, they're hatchery-produced seed. And one thing, there's a lot of oysters. There's been sort of a renaissance of oysters in the bay, and these oysters are wonderful. A lot of meat in them.
Okay.
But they're sort of thin-shelled. This particular group of them is from the bay side.
Okay.
So a little trick that we've been encouraging people to use. A traditional shucker would use a stabber like this, a commercial shucker, and break the bill and go in like that.
All right.
It's a little bit dangerous to do it that way.
So you're going to show us the easy way, right?
You can use a pair of scissors. I have a pair of needle nose pliers. And because these oysters are grown up off the bottom, they have a very thin bill. And you can just carefully break the bill off until you can see the very edge of inside the oyster. And you can use, I mean, you can almost use a butter knife, but if you see right there, you can see that you can see into the oyster now.
Wow.
And then you use a thin knife and just carefully insert the knife like that.
Okay.
The muscle that holds the two shells together. This is the cup side of the oyster. This is the flat side of the oyster.
Okay.
You want to keep the cup side up.
Okay.
Or cup side down rather, flat side up. And excuse me. And cut the muscle. Keep the knife nice and flat.
Okay.
Cut the muscle like that, and then slide the knife back slowly.
It looks so simple.
Yeah.
But
And juicy.
It's a little, but you want to preserve that. That's called the liquor. You want to preserve that liquor because
Can we try one?
Absolutely.
Okay, really
All
quick.
right.
We're gonna try
All right.
one.
There we go.
No, we. You go ahead. I'll do the play-by-play.
Smart man. Smart man.
Because
That's
what
right.
I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part off, and then I'm going to have Dick actually.
There you go.
Look at that. Is that good?
Yeah, you might. Well, a little bit more. A little bit
Right
more.
here?
But it's kind of the. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
Oh, you see it?
So right there.
That's where you want.
You got to be
Here,
kidding.
I'll start it for you.
Yeah, good idea. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Tom
You have
is
a
sticking
rookie.
the knife.
A rookie. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of.
It is
Okay.
a team effort.
Be careful. See, sure, give me the bad part with the sharp instrument.
What?
There you go.
You got it. You got it.
Now cut that muscle right here. Go in a little bit more and just try to cut the muscle.
You mean this way?
Yep.
Okay.
This is the first. You saw it
Okay.
first. Dick Lamb
Now,
shucking an
Baltimore
oyster.
guy ought to know how to open an oyster.
Yeah,
That's sort
exactly.
of something they teach in second grade, I would think.
I first saw oysters with my grandparents on the Rappahannock River, pulling an oyster out of the water, opening up and going, slurping it right
Will
down.
you keep shucking
You're
that
there.
oyster, Tom? I'm going to jump over here with Chef Charles to get started on this cucumber salad.
And he did
you
it.
guys keep
He
doing
did
that.
it.
Dick, you can join me over here when you're ready.
Okay.
You got to clap. All right, back in the kitchen. All right, getting started on. I shucked an oyster. That was
Yeah,
cool.
please, go ahead.
Cucumber salad. What do we want to get started on?
Simple. If you will stir this,
Okay.
I've got that thickened with a roux, so I need to constantly stir it to get
Okay.
the gluten out of it
Gotcha.
takes the pastiness out of the sauce.
All right.
This is not rocket science. The hard work is done by you shucking the
Oh,
oyster.
yeah, sure.
So what I've got is some fresh dill, some freshly chopped cucumbers, a little bit of adobo seasoning. I am going easy on the seasoning because those are salty oysters. You always have to have a balance. Some parsley. I don't want the dill to overpower it, but I want the color contrast, so I'll put a little more parsley in. Some shallots, not a lot. A little bit of sea salt, just a bit. A little bit of olive oil.
I love how you eyeball all your ingredients.
And a little bit of white wine vinegar. We're going
Okay.
to mix that up, let it sit. We'll check it for taste here in just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
And we're going to top that on some of the raw oysters when we get to eat them at the end of the show.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Okay, so that was quick and easy, the cucumber salad. Of course, we'll have all the ingredients on our website, thehamptonroadshow.com, but also you can also just go down to the Island House restaurant and watch it free
Absolutely.
and get it. All right, so I think we have to wrap this first segment, but I know in our next segment we're going to talk to John about some of the wines, and we're going to finish up your version of the Oysters Rockefeller and the cucumber salad, and then at the end, we get to taste
Get
it
to eat
all.
'em.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Let's
All
get
right.
to the wine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To the Buzz Center.
All righty. So much fun to have Dick Lamb on the show with us today.
Dick is awesome, and also we have to thank our friends from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. They are pushing a very new and exciting and delicious Mango Magic Smoothie, and they also brought us some chicken chipotle flatbread today. So
Mango Madness.
Madness?
Yes.
Mango
You'll get the
Madness? Okay,
yes,
it's
that
mango.
makes me think of Saturday
What'd you
Night
say?
Live. Anybody? Mango, Saturday Night Live? Madness?
Mango?
You cannot put the ocean in your pocket. All right, never mind. We were asking people, because Dick Lamb is here, and just in our pre-show meeting, we were asking him of all the jobs that he's had.
He's done them all.
Radio
TV
and TV.
radio.
It was almost a little comforting to see him struggle to open the oyster, because it was like, man, something he can't do perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. No, he's, so we're asking, what did you do before you got into the business
The perfect job that you have found.
The thing that was the fit. So we're looking for people to answer that question. We were also asking people what if they were stuck, if they had to listen to one, this is going crazy, one
band
artist.
for 24 hours. Of course, I said the Beatles, Neil Young.
Todd says Prince. That's a good call. Mike says Jimmy Buffett. He agrees with Dick Lamb on that one. Kevin says Audio Slave or any act with Chris Cornell. He's the most amazing vocalist of our time. I'm going to have to look him up. Harry says John Fogerty. Imara says Bob Marley. And Dory says anything by Hans Zimmer or John Williams. Al says Russell Crowe and his band. I don't know if it's T-O-F-O-G or if you just say Tufog or Tufog.
Russell Crowe. We'll just say Russell Crowe.
I haven't. Thank you. That's what I should have done. All right. Let's see. Susie English says Il Divo. I think that's a quartet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Christy's with me. Oh, Stephanie Cook says it's Simon Cowell's. Oh, Simon Cowell's band. Christy says, yeah, it was a tough decision. Keith Urban, Joss Stone. Forgot about her. Good call. All right, so let us know what you would listen to 24 hours a day if you had to just pick one.
And also let us know about your job that you did prior to finding the perfect job. Like I said earlier, I was a bouncer, pizza chef at Chicho's, so I've made pizza before.
All right. We're starting to get some feedback on that one, so we'll have those in the next buzz.
All right, well, Valentine's Day may technically be over, but there's still plenty of reasons to take care of someone you love.
Well, in this case, that someone we're talking about is very close to you. It is yourself, because every 60 seconds, a man or a woman dies of heart disease. A local woman I met has become an advocate for heart-healthy education, for women especially, since many women ignore the warning signs just like she did. Her wake-up call is today's What's Your Problem? Appearances can be deceptive. Gail Alexander Wright knows. 5 years ago, she looked physically fit. She easily was able to run 1.5 miles in 11 minutes flat. But on November 7th, 2007, she learned that wasn't enough.
I was 37 years old, and I had a heart attack.
Were you feeling symptoms months before?
Yes, I was.
You were?
I was.
Oh, that you ignored?
I ignored. I remember being under a lot of stress and just feeling very tired. Before the heart attack, about a month leading up to then, I would feel pain on the left side of my neck. I thought I needed to buy better pillows because my pillows obviously weren't, holding up to the standard that I thought. And then I remember it went from the neck to, the center of my chest, but still didn't think it was a heart attack. I had just started back to working out. I was guilty of the microwave dinners that were supposed to be diet friendly. So the night of the heart attack, wouldn't you know, I worked out, got off from work, worked out. This was about 6 o'clock in the evening. Sat down to eat one of my microwave dinners. Salisbury steak and broccoli was what was in the contents there. Sat down to take my first bite, and that's where I felt the pain that everybody talks about and the pressure. And it felt like my chest had caved in. I could barely speak.
Gail's daughter called 911, and Gail learned her heart attack was caused by a blood clot that disrupted the flow of blood to her heart. She didn't need surgery, but here's where family history can't be ignored, and Gail says she really needed to take some extra precautions. 13 months after her heart attack, Gail had a stroke.
We can't change who our family members are and how, these diseases affect our family. When you say my father and his father, and all of my father's siblings had heart attacks or strokes before the age of 30. That's the extent of my family history. I thought that you'd have a headache or something like that. I never had any headaches. It was just the blurred vision. I remember having a bottle of water in my hand, and I was on the phone with my sister, and I dropped the water bottle. And I thought I dropped it. But now I know it fell out of my hand because my right side of my body started to go numb. Even though we as women, we like to say, oh, it's nothing. We are the ones that are dying at an alarming rate because of not going and getting it checked out.
Centera cardiologist Dr. Jaime Murillo says more than half of congestive heart failure deaths are women, and that the majority of women don't have the typical heart attack symptoms.
That's a huge number of women that may have heart disease and they don't realize it. So they tend to ignore it, think it's stress related, think there's something else, and they don't seek medical advice sometimes. I tell my patients in the office, I'd rather see you here and tell you don't worry as opposed to say you came too late. You should have come sooner than you came.
Gail knows she's been given a second chance, but life is not what it used to be. Exercise is no longer an option but a requirement, and she must take medication for the rest of her life.
For me, it's a way of life, but I try to get the word out to tell people you don't want to be on this side if you don't have to be.
Now, Gail mentioned she worked out quite a bit before her heart attack and stroke. Despite that, she still had that heart attack and the stroke, but she didn't have to have heart surgery and doesn't have any long-lasting effects from that stroke. That's likely because she was so physically fit before all of this happened. Now, before I go, I want to run down some of the symptoms that may not seem like heart-related symptoms. You know, you hear plenty about that chest pain, but many times this heart disease, the warning signs are a little more subtle, like shortness of breath with any sort of activity, fatigue, just not feeling right. I mean, that is a symptom. Indigestion, sweating, nausea, pain, and I thought this was interesting, pain in the elbow, in the earlobe, or the jaw. So something that you might not necessarily think is heart-related, it just may be.
Interesting. All right, some great tips. Thank you for that, Cher. Appreciate it. All right, well, don't go away. Mardi Gras is invading Hampton Roads coming up. How you can get in on the celebration and help Bayport Credit Union and Habitat for Humanity build homes. And also, don't forget about our pop quiz. Today's winner will receive a 4-pack of advanced screening passes to see the Lorax, along with a $25 gift certificate to IHOP. Just log on to thehamptonroadshow.com, click on the pop quiz button on the top right-hand corner of the screen.
Back on the Hampton Road Show, Bayport Credit Union continues to be involved in the community, and this time they're helping to bring the Bayou to Hampton Roads.
That's right. As one of the top sponsors for this year's Raise the Roof event for Habitat for Humanity's, Bayport's generous support is helping build homes for deserving families. Bayport Credit Union is big on community involvement. This year, they're one of the top sponsors for Habitat for Humanity's Raise the Roof fundraiser, which is going to take place right here, Christopher Newport University's Ferguson Center for the Arts. I'm here with Virginia Staley, event planner for Habitat for Humanity, and we're going to tell you why we're wearing these Mardi Gras beads in just a few minutes. But Virginia, tell me about the event, how and when it got started.
We are in our 7th year this year, and we've had it for the last 7 years here at the Ferguson Center for the Arts. The very first year we had it was at Kathy and Bruce Hornsby's house, and we totally grew out of that the very first event. So we've been here ever since.
Talk about the Mardi Gras inspired theme. It's going to be on Fat Tuesday.
Yes, we wanted to pick a date that, you know, no other events were going on, and we wanted to be the focus. So we chose Fat Tuesday, and this year February 21st. And we go with the Mardi Gras theme. It's festive, it's fun, and we can do a lot of things with that theme that you might not see at other events.
Explain what's going to happen when they come walk through the door, what they're going to expect and on the menu.
Well, it is the minute they walk in, and we start at 5:30. So the minute they walk in, they'll get their Mardi Gras beads, and this entire hall will be totally transformed into a Mardi Gras festival. And the food is by Catering Concepts, and it's true New Orleans style food. For instance, we'll have crawfish and andouille pizza. We'll have oyster bisque, seafood jambalaya, all kinds of wonderful things that you would think of when you think of Mardi Gras.
And you guys are also going to have some auction items. Talk about some of those and how many people you expect to have.
Well, we're expecting well over 300, hopefully closer to 400, the more the word gets out. And Bayport Credit Union is one of our top sponsors, and they have a way of doing that for us like this. But our live auction, we have 11 items this year. We have houses, vacation houses down in the Outer Banks, one in Corolla, Duck, Kill Devil Hills. We have a 1-hour aerial sightseeing with Mark Tysinger, a 3-diamond pendant donated by Hausers. Those are some of the items for the live auction. The silent auction, there's jewelry, art, electronics, pocketbooks, sunglasses, you name it, and we're close to 80 items on that so far.
Where will all the proceeds go?
The proceeds, we are hoping this year that we have in the past, and we're hoping this year will be no different. We hope that we can have enough money made from this event that we'll be able to build one house and even start another for a deserving family.
Well, how does it feel to have sponsors like Bayport Credit Union be involved in a fundraiser such as this?
Well, Bayport, not only do they give us a monetary contribution, but they are in it with us every step of the way. They do things like this with us in mind and our charity in mind. And also, Kathy Barber from their marketing department, she's heading up our auction committee meeting, and she gets those committee members rolling every week, getting more and more items, and she's been fabulous to work with.
All right, so if you're looking for a good time, come on out to the Raise the Roof fundraiser, Virginia. Thank you for your time. Some great information. All right, again, Raise the Roof is next Tuesday, the 21st at 5:30 at Christopher Newport University's Ferguson Center for the Arts. For more information on financial planning services, you can always stop by any of the 14 Bayport Credit Union locations across Hampton Roads or visit them online at bayportcu.org.
Looks like fun.
Yes.
You a Mardi Gras guy?
Not so much. Not so much. I mean, you know, I like to go down and see what we're going to do when they throw those pearls up at you or whatever, but other than that.
The beads?
The beads.
The beads, yeah.
Well, if you're into it, check out that event.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun,
All right, still ahead on the Hampton Road Show. This gorgeous home once belonged to a famous figure in local Black history. Coming up on today's postcard from Hampton Roads, we'll tell you much more about the Thomas Newsom House.
But first, our celebration of Eastern Shore cuisine continues in the kitchen. We're going to check in on the folks from Chatham Vineyards and Chef Charles Stain in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone, in the kitchen with the celebration in Eastern Shore cuisine. We're doing all things oysters. We have Charles Stain, chef from Island House Restaurant in Wachapreague, and we just shucked oysters in our last segment with Tom. We're going to talk about some wines at Chatham Vineyards in just a little bit, but this is what you were working on. Tell our viewers what you added. Looks like some spinach and
I made
bacon.
a classic bechamel. I've
Okay.
got it thickened the way I wanted, a little bit thicker because you want it to have consistency to fit on the oysters. Fresh spinach and good cured Surrey bacon.
Okay.
We're going to mix that up, let that sit for a little while. I'm going to top the oysters,
Okay.
put some provolone cheese on it, pop it in the oven.
How long in the oven? How hot?
About 10 minutes.
Oh, that's
up
it,
there.
okay.
I like it to, you don't want to cook the oyster too much, just enough to get the oyster to get a little texture to it and brown the cheese, and you're ready to go.
And we'll show that at the very end. Okay, and what were we working on here?
This is one of our signature dishes at the Island House. We're going to make a oysters paramour. Paramour is one of the islands. When you sit in our dining room and you look out over the ocean, you can see Cedar Island and Paramour Island.
Okay.
So that's what it's named after. And what I've got is some Duke's mayonnaise, a little bit of seafood seasoning, 5 eggs, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of Lea Perrins.
Okay.
I'm going to mix that up really well. Then I'm going to put crab meat on top of the oysters and put this mixture on top of that and bake it along with the oysters Rockefeller.
Wow, so you don't just
They're
get
awesome.
one version of just the oysters, throw some hot sauce on it. You guys do it up a lot. How was Valentine's Day for you guys down there?
We were slammed last
Really?
night. It was a really good night. We packed the house all night, had some nice specials, and a lot of happy people. We had violinists walking through the dining room and
nice.
roses for the ladies. So it was a
Serenading their
very,
guests.
very, very nice night.
Did that surprise you, Annie, that they would come out on a weeknight like that? I mean, don't a lot of people do weekends when it's turns out?
It's actually better in the restaurant business. They actually spread out through the weekend and into the week. So you get the best of both worlds.
Wow,
You
that
actually
is
get
good.
4 or 5 extra days of business. So
All right,
great.
well, as you get that going, what would oysters be without some wine? I want to bring in John Wenner. You are with Chatham Vineyards. You are a wine grower, and you're going to talk about some of the
Yes.
wines that you brought with us here. Welcome to the Hampton
That's
Road
right.
Show. What'd you bring for
Well,
us today?
thank you. It's just a short trip from Chatham Vineyards, less than an hour away, and I brought 3 wines.
Okay.
The first wine is a steel fermented Chardonnay. It's the free run juice, the first pressing of the whole cluster, and it has nice crisp acidity. It pairs beautifully with the saltiness of the oyster. And then I brought 2 reds. I have Merlot and Vintner's Blend, and I'm going to pair these 2 reds with the warm oysters because the oysters have nutmeg and bacon, similar to the flavors that we have in the 2 reds. So the Merlot has nice soft tannins, and it's going to pair well with the oysters. And Vintner's Blend is a blend of all the red grapes that we grow in the vineyard, and we actually produce 75 tons of grapes a year, and we bottle 3,200 cases.
So for those who have never visited Chatham Vineyards, explain where you're located at and how big the grounds are and what you guys do. And you said for Valentine's Day you guys have something going on.
Yesterday evening we had a barrel tasting, and that was a lot of fun. We tasted the new vintages of 2010 and 2011. And the winery has a lot of events. This weekend we're going to be serving Church Creek oysters with our steel Chardonnay, and we have a fire pit, so it's a nice environment for people to come. We have a 20-acre vineyard, so when you drive in, you see this large vineyard. Chatham, the home on the label is an 1818 Federal period home named after the Earl of Chatham, who was friends with the Americans during the Revolution. And then we have a state-of-the-art winery that produces about 10,000 gallons of wine a year.
Nice. Now, are you a red or a white?
I like both. One of my favorite pairings is freshly shucked raw oysters with the steel Chardonnay.
And Dick, this was your segment. You were waiting on the
Yeah,
wine.
I'm probably saying, John, you probably need us to test this out before you really start serving it, don't you think?
Absolutely. That's why the glasses are poured.
Do you prefer red or white, Dick?
I'm a red guy.
You are?
Yeah.
Merlots and all that?
Oh, yeah. Love that Merlot.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. Yeah.
So what is, you know, when people come to a wine tasting, you know, a lot of people think when you have cold dishes or with fish, you pair the white, and then, like you said, with the oysters, Rockefeller, because it's warm, you do the red. Is that generally kind of rule of thumb, or do you guys go over all
Well,
of that?
I look more at texture when I do a wine and food pairing. For instance, the Merlot is a very versatile wine. This is a wonderful wine if you want to have red. It's versatile because it has soft tannins and it has a tremendous amount of fruit. So very versatile wine. I'm also a red drinker, so Merlot is going to make a big comeback here.
Two reds. I prefer a white, but we are going to put all of this together. We're going to have our wines at the end, and we're going to present it, and we're going to bring our friends over and taste it when we come back. John and Chef Charles, thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, Chatham Vineyard, we want to tell you where they're located, 9232 Chatham Road in Machipungo on the eastern shore. You have a kayak winery tour from Southeast Expeditions. That's $85 per couple. That includes a bottle of Church Creek wine. You can log on to chathamvineyards.net or give them a call, 757-678-5522.
Wine's for after the paddle, though, so you don't tip over.
That's right. Red or white?
Depends on what I'm eating.
Of course.
Right? All right. When we come back, we're going back in time to a historic home in Newport News filled with very important lessons for the future. We're going to visit the Thomas Newsom House in our postcard from Hampton Roads.
Welcome back to the Hampton Road Show, everyone. Want to thank our friends at Tropical Smoothie Cafe for dropping by their new flavor, Mango Magic. Chris, you were right. It is Mango Magic. Yeah, and their Chipotle flatbread.
That's all you guys do is eat and drink on this program, and this is great.
Too much fun, too much fun. And of course, we have Dick Lamb, our guest host, because Morning Radio is invading the Hampton Road Show. You having a good time so far?
I'm enjoying this. This is good. It's like the days of old. I'm back on television again. Yeah, well, yes,
back to the old stomping grounds. Well, of course, you know our hot topics this morning. We were talking about what did you do before you landed the job. You said you've been in radio. This is what you've been doing. This is what you know.
Just as a high school kid, like I say, I was bagging groceries at the grocery store, but other than that, I got into the broadcasting and been doing it ever since.
And that is so cool that you have a photo. Like you were, what, 17 years old?
Yeah, that was the first place I ever worked in Baltimore, WAYE. I guess the way I got into that, well, I have a cousin, and my family's from up in the Northern Neck in Warsaw, Virginia, and he's a couple of years older than I am. And as a kid, going back there to visit cousins and so forth, he had a job at a radio station, WNNT, 1 mile south of Warsaw, Virginia. And I used to go in and watch him do the thing, so I went home to Baltimore and went down to a local radio station and said, I want to be on the radio. And so they gave me a job as just a gopher. I mean, we call today we call them interns.
Gotcha.
See, but we were a gopher then. And then some of the announcers taught me how to read a commercial and so on. And before I knew it, I was on doing some radio things.
And look at you now. Mike B, we have, yes, still doing it, going strong. We say you are legendary here. You were one of the first people. They were like, you need to talk to Dick Lamb.
I always think about one of the things. I went to Channel 13 in Baltimore for a while in my hometown. Same television station that Oprah worked at. Now, she and I worked at the same station. She went on to be Oprah, and here I am.
You're on the Hampton Road Show. Really quick, want to read a comment. Mike B, he is an avid buzzer. He says, I always had the right job for me. I've been so blessed to have wonderful bosses that made jobs fun to work. And he also says he wants to say good morning to you, sir.
Well, good morning right back. Good to be here.
All right, back over to Carrie and Chris.
Time for a little Hampton Road Show history lesson. So if you've heard the expression, if these walls could talk,
Yeah,
right?
well, in the Thomas Newsom house, they do. Every inch of the beautiful home tells the story of the man who rose above a very painful past and propelled his family to prosperity and had the same wish for his community. Here's this week's postcard from Hampton Roads. Well, Thomas Newsom was a lawyer. He was a journalist, active in his church, and very active in the community. And his home is still a center in the community of Newport News, a place for people to come and celebrate history and culture. I want to introduce you to Donna Davis. She's the curator here at the Newsom House Museum and Cultural Center. Thanks for having us here today.
Well, thanks for being here. I'm very happy to have you.
This is a very special place. It's a beautiful home, but it's so much more than that.
Yes, it is. It is, as you say, a hub of the community. It was back in the day when Mr. Newsom lived here, and it still is, as we are celebrating Black History Month this month, but we celebrate it all year long, so we're very busy.
And Mr. Newsom and his family represented the black middle class, something new for the time. Tell me how important it is for people to learn about life for African Americans, for all Americans at that time.
Well, you know, most of the things that you hear about African Americans back in those days is that they were enslaved and they were oppressed and those type of issues. But Mr. Newsom certainly represented, he was a hero of the community because he represented those who were rising above the institution of slavery. Even though it had ended by the time he was born, he rose above and became a successful person, and there were very many people in the community who were very successful at that time. He was a lawyer, as you said, but there were very many business people in the community, and he represented that genre of the community.
This house is a wonderful combination of the permanent exhibits. You really get the feeling, you feel like the Newsoms could come home at any moment in some of these rooms, but you've also got some traveling exhibits that come through as well.
That's true. We like to show different facets of the Black history. And so in this room, this is our permanent exhibit on Mr. Newsom and his family. But in other rooms, as you stated, we do have exhibits that we get from local entities and also from throughout the state and sometimes even nationally. We try to do something every month to celebrate the African American culture. We have exhibits that change periodically throughout the year. We have special events and we also open our house up for people to have events here that would celebrate life in the community.
So if you would like to learn more about Thomas Newsom or take part in some of the wonderful programs that are happening here at the Newsom House, not just during Black History Month, but any time of the year, make sure you visit and tell them the Hampton Roadshow sent you. All right, it was a pleasure talking to Donna Davis about the Newsom House, and she was joking, but she said sometimes she'd like to close during February, just to get people to come visit the house, you know, the other times of the year, because there's just so much there. It's in the east end of Newport News, and it still, you know, represents that hub of the community that it did, you know, many, many years ago. So very interesting. Our thanks to Donna.
Yeah, lots of rich history here in Hampton Roads.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to make that a pop quiz one of these days. So watch out for that.
All right.
He's tipping us off.
Speaking of pop quiz, let's take a look at it. The 4 clues here. Here's the first one, rifle viewer. Size of a situation, brief circus home throughout the year, and mouthwash brand. So,
what do you think, Mr. Dick Lamb?
I can't figure that out for the life of me.
Come on.
You know, I'm bad at this stuff.
Mouthwash brand. Come on,
A mouthwash brand.
There's not that many.
There's, yeah.
What is it?
The scope.
Scope?
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Oh! See?
I knew it too.
Circus comes to town, goes there. Yeah.
Do we have time? Can I ask him a question?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you want to stump him?
Always been curious about this with weather guys.
Yeah.
You know, every morning we'll get the weather and we'll say, and the high temperature today will be 54 degrees.
Right.
And I'll be driving down the highway at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll look at my car and it says 54 degrees. how are you able to determine exactly what the temperature is going to be?
It's a lot of luck.
We'll let you think about it. The answer and oysters after this. That's fine. I had the same question.
It's a lot of luck.
All right, here we go. Pat, I'm going to hand you a little, I guess whatever you call these little forks.
Little thingies.
Yes, we shucked oysters. Want to thank Tom Gallivan from the Shooting Point Oyster Company for showing us how to shuck the oyster.
If I try that,
Chef Charles Stain from the Island House Restaurant in Wachapreague, and of course John Weiner from Chatham Vineyards. Want to let you know their information again. Give them a call, 678-5588, or make sure you go visit them online, chathamvineyards.com. We'll have all this information on our website. And thank you, big thank you to our co-host,
Dick Lamb, everybody.
All my pleasure. I enjoyed it so much. Glad to be here, guys.
Here, how about a raw
We're
oyster?
going to try this.
Well, let me think about that.
Come on, Dick. There you go.
Look at this guy.